Yo, providers, what's good? It's your man Gip back with another reaction. I'm in the kitchen. I got my apron on. The camera's rolling. So y'all know what that means. I'm about to cook. Today's special, why the freight rates are trash. Let's get into it.
Let's talk about the real reason why freight rates are so low. And it's not freight brokers that are to blame. Over the last few years, I have seen more and more cries of freight broker price gouging. And I want to show you all proof of why rates are so bad right now, but also how they've been bad before in the past. And this is a market, it will fluctuate. And I know what you're thinking, Bobby, don't tell me supply and demand. And cool, because supply and demand is actually not really the biggest problem. Supply and demand is not why carriers are going out of business. Still, it is a contributing factor, so let's just touch on it before we get into the main reason and how carriers can fix these things and be more successful and not go out of business. Currently, there are too many trucks on the road though, which means that there is not enough freight for every available trailer. When this happens, carriers go lower on their rates to make sure that they are one of the trucks to get a load. This is supply and demand. Since we're currently in a freight recession right now, this is normal, but it doesn't have to be this bad. That's the problem. The problem isn't that rates are low right now, it's that they're so low, incredibly low, and it can be fixed by understanding the problem. The real problem, and that is carriers. And I don't want you to think that I'm against carriers. I am not against carriers at all, but I am going to prove this. And before we go any further, I want to tell you where I lie in this because I'm the owner of a freight brokerage and I've been in this industry for over 10 years. And so you could think, okay, he's a freight broker. No wonder he's going to point the blame at carriers. That's just not the case. Again, I am not against carriers one bit. They are essential to us and everyone. What I am doing right now is putting to bed some of the misperceptions and shedding light on what the real problem is. So keep in mind, my company is currently looking to purchase trucks and trailers and get into the asset-based side of this business as well. So I am definitely not against carriers. So why are carriers the problem though? It's actually pretty simple. Okay, so hear me out with an open mind. Despite what the OOIDA and what you can hear from other drivers or even potentially your dispatcher, there are three parties to every brokered transaction. Brokered. You have the shipper, the broker, of course, and the carrier. And all three of those are influenced by supply and demand because of competition. So we saw rates soar over the last few years when there was more freight than there were trucks. Carriers made a ton of money and it was basically the freight boom, right? That's what we call it, is the freight boom. The reason for this wasn't actually that there was more freight than trucks though. The real reason is because shippers had to compete against other shippers to make sure that their product went out on one of the few trucks that were in the area. It's just competition. The competition is the same now for trucks, just in the opposite market. If you are a carrier, a dispatcher, a driver, or just someone who wants to point blame, do yourself a favor and just stop pointing blame at brokers. It is not brokers' fault. They do not dictate the market. They do not set the prices. And if you see a broker that is offering a rate that you don't like, just know they don't like it either. Matter of fact, out of the three parties in a brokered load, only one of them actually has the power to say no and impact whether a load moves or not. And that is the carriers.
The who? Let y'all hear that one more time.
And that is the carriers. You have the power.
And everybody watching who drives a truck, it primarily, as far as I'm concerned, really only pertains to owner-operators, because if you're a company driver, I guess you guys is not really too much concerned in terms as far as how much a rate is. But not too much to unpack in terms of what we just listened to, what a freight broker actually just informed us. It's nobody's fault but the carrier's fault. That's what I've been saying. I'm sure if you're owner operator, that's on everybody's mind. As long as we keep booking this cheap freight, I'm guilty of it. I'm sure you guilty of it. Just seen somebody drop a little silly comment in my video the other day when I went and moved around them little Amazon trailers. Yeah, I'm not afraid to admit it, man, but my whole thing is something is better than nothing. After I get through rubbing all my little nickels that I go collect in the streets every day, it definitely will amount to something, but it's nobody's fault but ours. It's nobody to blame but me, you, and everybody else that's guilty of hitting the book it button for the cheap freight. A lot of the non-domicile drivers, they are highly primarily to blame as well, because them few nickels I'm trying to rub together to make ends meet living in the States, they send that little bit of money home to where they from and live like kings. I'm assuming, which I'm pretty sure I'm correct in saying that, but until people stop taking the freight and find something else to do to make ends meet, until these people finally wake up and know who's the most responsible and the most important out of the three, I feel like it's the carrier. Just like you said, you got the shipper, you got the broker, and then you got the guys actually taking the stuff to where it needs to go. Whether you be a final mile in a van or a box truck or the semi truck, we all play an equally important role, but the carrier is the one that actually gets the product to where it needs to go. All this hooping and hollering about the English proficiency mumbo jumbo that's done taken the internet by storm, as long as we keep booking, man, it's simple. It's like he said, it's really simple. As long as we keep taking these cheap rates and these cheap loads, it's not going to change.
And that is the carriers. You have the power.
I guess that's why a lot of people have thrown in the towel and went on and did something else. They tired of fighting and trying to fight it through and hoping things, keeping their fingers crossed, hoping things is going to change, when it has been like this for at least what? How long has this been going on? 2 years now? Now you got Trump in here. You got all the courts blocking and going against his little tariff laws. Stock market is going up and down, going crazy, like it got me on an emotional roller coaster as far as that. What's the solution? No, it's easier said than done. A lot of people don't have other things going on that they can rely on to take care of their livelihoods, to take care of themselves and their family. So it just makes a guy have to get out and work even harder. You might have to work 7 days a week instead of 5 days a week, spending more time in the truck. And it could be an easy fix. So a lot of people, you don't even really see much content that much anymore as far as people like coming together, all the truckers coming together and shutting it down. That's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen, because just like I said, one man's trash is the next man's treasure. One man's nickels is another man's thousands. So I don't know what's gonna happen, man. I really don't. I really love the trucking industry. I like driving trucks, me myself personally. I love being out on the open road, but at the same time, the reward does not outweigh the risk involved when you think about like insurance and all the costs that just having your own authority entails, fellas. So I hope you guys learned something from this. I've learned something from it. What I've learned is either I'm gonna keep rubbing nickels or I'm gonna throw in the towel and wave the white flag like everybody else. We'll see how this stuff unfolds. Yeah, it's nobody's fault but ours, man. It's the carrier's fault. Y'all heard the man. Not the broker, not the shipper. The stinking truck drivers who keep booking these cheap loads is what's really keeping the market down. If we don't move none of that freight, them warehouses is gonna be full and they're gonna be scrambling, blowing our phones up, begging us to take loads. And then we get to demand. All that supply and demand, y'all got the supply, but we demand more money. You feel me? I appreciate y'all for rocking with me. I hope y'all enjoyed this reaction. I had to come out back and walk that one off and blow off some steam. And I'll see y'all on the next one, man. Peace.